This episode is brought to you by Monkey Nutrition. You are at the Ecuadorian embassy tomorrow. I guess you're going to see Mr. Assange. How is Julian? How has this whole past year been for him, in your opinion, or even the last 2 years for him?
It's been awful. Can you imagine being caged up where you can't even get any sunshine? I mean, I admire what he's been able to do, in exile. I mean, WikiLeaks is still coming out with some really, really interesting stuff. He has a lot of support, and that's why I go see him, just to show him that there's a lot of people that highly respect what he's done and will support him to the degree we can. But it's been really hard. And, when you see the Swedes and you see the British acting in such a kind of obsequious way, just because the U.S. says you have to act this way, violating or changing various laws to allow them to do the U.S. bidding, is that what my country has become? Is that the continuing leverage that they have over other older and more established democracies? Well, the answer is yes. And that's why it's so sad,
It saddens you that they can enforce that pressure. It just changes things slightly, makes people behave or adhere to laws to the letter and let others go.
Mm-hmm. And I can see what happened in Sweden. I think some of my former colleagues had something to do with getting those women to make those charges. I mean, the whole thing smells to high heaven.
Really? They said they weren't contacted. But is he going to have to go back? Is this what's going to happen? Or is it decisions he's going to have to make? He's been in that embassy for 2 years. Like you said, it's no cakewalk there. It's he's been held up there. I've been by there. I mean.
Yeah. Well, right now, it looks hopeless, but things do change. Right now, it's, he's not in the brig like Chelsea Manning. He's not in a minimum security prison like John Kiriakou, who I visited 2 months ago. He's in prison, but he's willing and able to function in a way that he wouldn't be if he were in a real prison. So it is possible to sort of suggest that it could be worse for him. It's ironic that Ed Snowden has more freedom. It's ironic that he has a freer life than Assange. But what the fellow stands for, that is uncovering the kinds of secrets that normal citizens of the world really need to know, and with some discretion. He's got a bad rap when people accuse him of indiscriminately releasing all this stuff. When Robert Gates, the Secretary of Defense, was asked, what about this incredible damage to our troops out there in Afghanistan and Iraq, and because he had made that claim, he came back to Senator Levin and he said, well, those fears were significantly overwrought. In other words, there wasn't any damage. And even with Ed Snowden, he's taken measures to make sure that he gave this very sensitive information to reputable, honest reporters who will check, and they have been checking with the government's concern. Is this too... Probably most people don't know that, but they check on this stuff. And they say, now we have this. Now, should we name these people? Okay, you don't want the names. And they do react. It's just a what's the word? A responsible way to proceed, because they're not out to do damage to these folks or to these governments even. They're out to tell the truth. And, we have an old expression. It comes from the Bible. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
This week on London Real, former MI5 intelligence officer turned whistleblower, Annie Machon.
What we're looking at now is a de facto police state. All the laws are in place, they're just not being applied to most citizens yet. I think it's not a case of having anything to hide. It's having a case that I have a right to privacy, and I can't guarantee my government will uphold that right, therefore I need to take the steps to do it.
She talks NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden.
He would die for his country. He wants to try and improve the way his country operates within its own boundaries and protect its citizens. And we seem to forget and think that human rights are a luxury. They're not, they're fundamental, and privacy is one of them.
On Sunday, London Real presents Annie Machon, whistleblower.
So it's a very British mess, is the short answer.